Happy Monday, everybody. I'm Barbara Ann. Welcome back to my channel, Straight Out of Context. Copyright disclaimer. Under the Copyright Act of 1976, I am within my full legal right to share these following clips via video and audio. The following creators allow reshare, redistribution, and download of their content, and as always, I credit them in the description box. Fair use, public domain, TikTok third-party license, and TikTok Live automatic third-party license for the use of commentary, reaction, teaching, news reporting, research, comment, and criticism. I am legally within my basic human right, my civil right, and my constitutional right to share, under the First Amendment to the Constitution, my expressions, my views, my thoughts, opinions, feelings, and my critiques. The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution guarantees my freedom of religion, freedom to exercise of, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, free assembly, and the right to petition the government. The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution does not cover lies that amount to defamation, slander, libel, harassment, stalking, cyberbullying, threats, doxing, or other verbal crimes. Today is Monday, June 9th, 2025. Today marks the 10-year death anniversary of the very heinous and brutal murder of Claudine Dee Blanchard. And just like clockwork, the perpetrator of this heinous crime, her very own daughter, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, had to turn around and make it all about her. She issues not one, but two ChatGPT statements. She isn't even original nor creative enough to come up with her own thoughts, feelings, and words. She has to prompt AI to do it for her. The first one reads, "One day, two meanings. 1 year ago, we saw Aurora for the first time in sonogram, and my heart has never been the same. She is my light, my joy, my greatest blessing. But today also marks 10 years since the death of my mother, a woman known not for love, but for the abuse she inflicted on me. That pain shaped my life in ways that led to tragic choices, consequences, and years we both can never get back." I wonder why she can't get it back, because her life was taken. It was literally ripped and taken from her. I won't pretend that she was a good person, and I won't pretend that I've been perfect either, but Aurora, she represents a new beginning, a chance to break every cycle, a chance to raise someone with love, truth, and freedom, a chance to give her a life better than what I had and better than my past choices. I may carry the past, but she carries my future. No, honey, she carries her own future. She will be her own woman one day. It's your own job to carry your own future. She continues, "And I pray that who she becomes will be greater than who I was and greater than the woman who came before me." She also literally hashtags Dee Blanchard. Well, if you're not going to pretend that your mother was a good person, then you need to stop kidding yourself and pretend like you're a decent person today. Coming from her own lips, she is a self-proclaimed piece of shit.
I'm sorry that you fell in love with a piece of shit like me.
She also posts this second one. "1 year ago, I saw my daughter Aurora for the first time in this sonogram. I didn't know then how much love and light she would bring into my life. Today also marks 10 years since the murder of my mother. It's a complicated and painful truth. My mother was an abusive person. That abuse defined my childhood and shaped so much of what I became known for. I was the one who orchestrated her death, and I served 8.5 years in prison because of it. I won't rewrite the past, but I can choose to grow from it. And Aurora, she is my hope. Hope for a future that is full of love, healing, and freedom from the trauma that came before her. She will never know the chains I wore, and I pray she becomes better than both me and the grandmother she'll never meet. This day carries a lot, but above all, it reminds me that even in darkness, new light can rise. Gypsy."
Dee, I understand if you're sick, if you don't feel good, could you please call me back, or at least pick up the phone. Let me know that everything's okay. This poor woman had done nothing but give her life for her child, and had done nothing but love everybody around her.
The chains that Gypsy Rose Blanchard says she wore, she prays for hope and for a new light to shine in the darkness. When people like her own mother, Dee Dee Blanchard, Nicholas Godejohn, Nicholas's mother, Stephanie Goldammer, and the hundreds of countless others that Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her friends, family, or associates have endlessly and repeatedly hurt. What about hope for everybody else? What about the fact that there is no hope for the lives that you took? Not only do you not take any accountability at all, but you don't show any remorse. You show no rehabilitation, no reformation. You show no want to make amends. Nothing. Somebody who wants everybody else in society to believe that her mother had Munchausen syndrome by proxy, that her mother was a horrific abuser, that her mother is the one that was responsible for all of the medical fraud, all of the scams, all of the cons, and convincing doctors she was sicker than what she really was for Social Security disability checks every single month for the income. Because in Gypsy's mind, in the mind of Melissa G. Moore and Mike Stanfield, saying all of these things about Dee Dee Blanchard lessens the culpability and responsibility and the consequences on Gypsy Rose Blanchard. But what we have really seen is that even down to the justice system, it has incentivized the wrong party. They incentivized the most guilty party of the two to lie and to continuously double down and triple down on those lies instead of positively incentivizing Nicholas Godejohn, who cooperated and did nothing but tell the truth from the very beginning. What is happening is Gypsy Rose Blanchard is positively being reinforced for a negative purpose, for a lie. And lies are not covered anywhere under the First Amendment or in our Constitution. Gypsy Rose Blanchard has very carefully and strategically withheld in the past 10 years curated all of the fame and the money that she has. And it has quite literally come at the price of stabbing her mother in the back. But it's this need for constant attention, this need to make celebrity status, talent type of money, this need for constant validation and reinforcement from society, from fans, from supporters. That is the driving force that keeps Gypsy on social media. She has the right to her voice. She has the right to free speech. But free speech doesn't cover lies. It doesn't cover defamation. It doesn't cover any kind of crime. And it still and never will cover slander, defamation, and libel of your victims. One of the biggest things that Gypsy supporters say is don't invalidate abuse. When really the bigger topic should be said. That instead of falsely accusing people, especially people who died a very heinous, violent death, we should first and foremost be validating that any abuse occurred in the first place. We should be validating what truly took place, happened, and occurred. And thanks to multiple people, myself included, Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her need for that attention is the same thing that is the chains she now wears. Because her constant books, interviews, documentaries, and her TV shows, her reality show, her being present on social media, her weaponizing TikTok to make physical threats, to dox, to release private correspondence. That is the sole reason why everybody has caught her in her own lies, is herself. The chains that Gypsy Rose Blanchard wear are the chains of the circumstances she created today. With lying. Her mother did not medically abuse her. She really was sick. She really had health issues. And she was helping her mother get Social Security by convincing doctors that she was sicker than what she really was. That way, Social Security gets a med release and boom, gets the medical records and sees that there truly is a need for disability. That is my opinion. It has always been my opinion, and Gypsy Rose Blanchard certainly knows about it. And if she wants to prove herself correct, then all she has to do is an FBI-administered lie detector test. Or she could just tell the truth.
Do you think I give two shits about the FOIA document? I don't. People trying to throw toothbrush insult like it bothers me. I don't give a shit. It's in the past. That's your girl. This is out of Nick's FOIA documents. This is evidence that his attorney submitted against Gypsy. I'm not going to show you everything, but we're going to read this one. I already got a whole video I'm posting later with all these. September 27, 2013. Gypsy Rose is now her Demona character. She tells him she's a slut with an evil streak. She can she can do anything except a few things. She can't physically harm her mom, and she won't harm Nick. She says those two people are off limits, but she has drugged both of those people since she committed this crime, since she had her mother murdered. Let's just say it. Besides the things she says she can't do, she describes what she can do. She can steal. Already said torture. She likes to drink, and she likes to be actually naughty. Isn't it crazy that she knows about drinking, she knows about pain pills, she knows about X, she's got a phone, she's got a laptop, and she could not fucking figure out how the fuck to get away from mom. Yeah, you can believe that all you want, friend. Let's just skip right on down. She goes on to say she can overwhelm Nick. She mentioned she can grape him by force. She talks in detail about the way she can do that by tying him to a chair or a bed. You could be new here. Let me tell you something. If I say something, trust and fucking believe I got the evidence to back it up. I will never come on here with something that I can't back up 10 times. She said these things to him. This is all submitted into evidence for Nick's new trial. This is everything that should have been brought up at Nick's original trial that wasn't. So you can support her all you want. And that's just one of the documents. I've already made a video with all the other ones I'm posting later. But that's just one, friend. Gypsy did this. She said that shit to that man. And she does not give a fuck that y'all know, because her 10 years ago is in the past. Even though 10 years hits in a couple days on the 15th. She does not care that y'all know. She doesn't care. You know why? Because she's always getting fucking paid off of you. Off of you, not me, girl. I don't do that. This ain't alleged. She said this shit. But the rest is my opinion for entertainment purposes only, and the rest, that's her bullshit.
Barbie dolls,
You mean this book? Hold on, there's another lie there. Thank you for sharing this, TikTok snitch. Dolls were commerce clauses in a long-term agreement between my mom and me, but they were also a symbol of innocence and purity. Mama preferred that I not play with baby dolls. She didn't want me to see the anatomy, no matter how poorly scaled, of a woman. If I were to undress a doll to change its clothes, I was to see a baby's body without bulges or bumps. Clean, she'd call it. The accessories for a baby doll were a baby bottle and a stroller, not a provocative hot tub or dream house. The baby doll's companion was its mommy, not a Ken doll, which would have prompted more questions my mother didn't want to address. I wonder if I'd had the opportunity for Ken to play with Barbie, would my mother have known about Daddy Claude sooner? At first, the shame she inflicted was subliminal, like implying that our natural naked state is dirty by preferring clean. But soon enough, Mama became more literal in what she expected from my body. So let's talk about this picture. She didn't let you have Barbies, and now you're saying she did let you play with Barbies. You had Barbies, and they were so dirty, but here you are setting them up as 50 Shades of Grey? But let's talk about that line, naked state is dirty, to be covered up, etc. That's weird. My mother and Claude had an intentional bath time. It wasn't like she'd already be in the tub and he'd decide to join her. They went into the room together and undressed. The whole 9. After my mother was done washing Daddy Claude's back and she turned so he could do hers, she called to me. It's your turn, and she'd get out of the tub, undress me, carry me over, and plop me in the water. I'm not going to read the rest of that, but how did she inform you that your naked state was dirty when you were all taking baths together? Because 1 + 1 does not equal 3. And again, if this was your normal, if you normally did these things like bathing together and that was normal to you, then why would your mama be surprised when you told her he did something wrong to you? She would already know that, right? Because you're saying that, hello? But the weirdest part is saying that your grandfather carried you like a bride of the threshold when he went to do what he did. But she keeps playing the public, and they don't see through her base narrative, even with all of these facts. What are your thoughts?
This is why Christy and Gypsy believe that they actually are celebrity status. Yeah.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard wants to get hired for $5,000 to $10,000 to do speaking engagements about mental health and prison reform. First of all, this girl knows nothing about prison reform. I don't think she can name 3 things that need reforming when it comes to prisons. We're not talking about reforming inmates. We're talking about better treatment and conditions in the prison and what needs changes there. And she has no clue what our system needs done to it. And then, not only that, mental health lies. She openly admits she sought no mental health treatment during her entire prison sentence. She still doesn't get therapy. How is she going to speak on mental health when she doesn't treat her own mental health? That doesn't make sense. And for $10,000, you can hire somebody that is actually educated on prison reform and mental health. She's out of her mind, and I've never seen a bigger narcissist in my entire life.
Gypsy says this, that she wants to clarify something, that when she was younger, her mother didn't allow her to play with dolls. She says it's also important to add that she was writing and editing the book as she was filming, so she didn't have time to look over it all. One user asks her a whole bunch of questions, like about the Disney trips and whatnot, and then she goes on to say this. She says, I believe the writers, meaning Melissa G. Moore and Michelle Matriciani. Michelle Matriciani is a literary agent who works with Melissa G. Moore. Melissa and Michelle also did Gypsy's ebook release. Now she's throwing them under the bus. I believe the writers structured the chapters to highlight key story arcs, and the trips to Disney were not included because they were publicly known largely as a result of my mother's manipulation of both me and the public. Quick question, though, everybody, and you let me know what you think. Dee Blanchard really did have endometrial cancer. I know what that's like. I had stage 2/stage 3 cervical cancer 5 years ago. Is it wrong for a real cancer patient to ask for any kind of charitable funds from a cancer society like the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society or any other cancer society when she really was a cancer patient? What do you think? Let me know. I'm going to continue on here. She also says the hurricane was a tragedy that affected many of us living in Louisiana in 2005, but the important takeaway isn't Gypsy got to go to Disney World for free. The real issue is why that happened. It was the result of long-term child abuse. Okay, that's a contradiction. What abused child gets a trip to Disney multiple times? Smiling, happy, getting all these Disney princess gowns, getting to eat real food and royal mashed potatoes. She continues, I went to Disney World at the cost of my physical health, emotional well-being, and under the control of a mother who was manipulating her own daughter for years. Again, Gypsy Rose Blanchard was a month away from her 24th birthday.
I've read every line of this book 50 times over.
No, she didn't. She just said she didn't.
I'm proud of you for doing that because that takes some courage and it's like a form of therapy. I think when people are going to read this, they'll have a much better understanding
of the lies, the manipulation, the deceit of Gypsy Rose Blanchard herself. Yeah, that book really showed us a lot.
Yeah, trauma definitely changes a person.
especially trauma like that.
Prove that it happened, because the only thing we can prove happened is a whole bunch of lies about Nicholas Godejohn, the suicide of his mother, and the very heinous, brutal murder of your mother. Hello, look, she's lying right in the comments section. She's lying in text, in print, and right in front of everybody's faces on TV. Believing a sociopath and a self-proclaimed piece of shit who murdered people and turned around and lied about everything for money, for monetary gain. You're going to really believe this concocted story to save her from the death penalty of she had all this trauma and was abused?
And every line of this book 50 times over.
So just the other day, there were some posts. I even made one about Gypsy being with Gotham Artists now. They are an agency that hires out speakers, motivational speakers, guest speakers. Gypsy's there to be a advocate, motivational, encouragement speaker. You can hire her for $5,000 to $10,000. And people are like, oh, her profile's gone now. They took her off. She's not there anymore. They took her off the search queue because they didn't want backlash. But you can definitely go in and request her for a speaking engagement. As you can see, I did that the other day and I got a response. So I'm willing to put up the money if anybody thinks we should get her for a panel to maybe answer some questions. I don't know. I feel like today is a good day, being the schmurdiversary of Dee Dee. Happy schmurdiversary, Gypsy. Good job on you. I know you're proud of yourself. You already made a post on TikTok about it. Or not TikTok, YouTube. But yeah, she is definitely still with Gotham Artists. You can hire her. I can hire her. Should we hire her? What a fucking... I can't stand the girl.
Tragic event surrounded by mystery and public deception.
Don't turn your back, she might stab you.
What you see behind me is the photo right here of a girl who supposedly has disabilities, along with her mother, and now next to it, what she looks like in her prison uniform without the glasses and getup.
Her mom had to have been making her fake her illness all her life.
First of all, she wasn't faking an illness, but what he just said right there is that her mother must have been making her fake her illness her whole life. That is not Munchausen syndrome by proxy when the person is in on it.
How do you kill your own mother? I mean, there's got to be a reason. There's got to be some abuse there. You don't just, I'm gonna kill my mother because I want to be with a boyfriend.
When you commit a first-degree murder, you knowingly cause the death of another person after deliberation. Analysis of cell phones provided evidence of numerous text messages between Gypsy Blanchard and Nicholas Godejohn.
I will use the one card that I have over you. Gypsy.
Yes, very, very good. I really didn't think any abuse was going on.
Because abuse wasn't going on.
I don't know what he was putting in my stepson's head.
We do. 3 years of manipulation and love bombing.
I think he's madly in love with this. I know. I mean, that's the way it works, though. When you have what he has, it's like your mind focuses on one thing. Do you know what I mean? Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that if Gypsy hadn't asked you to kill her mom, you'd ever killed her mom?
I know I wouldn't have done it.
Okay. You just did it because you loved Gypsy and Gypsy asked you to do it.
Yes.
Is that what I'm thinking? Okay. Why didn't nobody know she could walk?
Her mom, wanted everyone thinking that she's like 16 the entire time. So, yeah, she felt kind of trapped.
It's relief. You know, at the very beginning of this, there was the question of the death penalty on the table.
Bingo. Right there. The fact that Gypsy and Dee Dee were working together to convince doctors she was sicker than what she really was. Gypsy and Dee Dee were both malingering. He saw this is possible Munchausen by proxy and ran with it to save her from the death penalty. Of course, he also used that in a whole bunch of smiling pictures of a little girl in a wheelchair. Took that right to Dan Patterson and brokered her a sweetheart plea deal. Saves all this time for a trial, for a jury, all these taxpayer dollars, and boom, she also has to serve some time. But where justice is denied is in the fact that Nicholas Godejohn has to serve life for Gypsy's lies, manipulation, and her planning of her crime. Her soliciting and using him as an accessory to her crime, her co-conspirator.
She now doesn't have a language beyond manipulation and retaliation.
Truer words have never been spoken.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her boyfriend, Nicholas Godejohn, are both charged with premeditated murder.
She is potentially dangerous.
Yeah, look at what she's done to social media in the last year and a half. Driving around unbuckled and her child not appropriately buckled.
Dee Dee was a master manipulator, and it's impossible that Gypsy would not have picked this up and used it.
The Blanchard scammed many different charities and lied to many different charities across the U.S., including churches and support groups.
She's a beast.
Yeah.
The Missouri Highway Patrol issued a statewide alert tonight about a mother and a daughter missing from Springfield tonight. They say 19-year-old Gypsy Blanchard and 48-year-old Claudenia Blanchard were last seen June 10th. If you know anything about their whereabouts, you're asked to call police right away.
I saw a crowd of neighbors gathered up, and that's when I found out about the Facebook post.
Yet they want you to believe that nobody cared about Dee Dee.
I thought maybe someone had just hacked their account, but what made it strange was
We were bonded by this lie together, like we couldn't escape each other.
Not abuse, not an unwilling participant. She was an active participant in the lie that binded them together.
Did Gypsy know that you were going to kill her mother?
Honestly, she asked me to.
Okay. So Gypsy knew you were going to do it because Gypsy asked you to.
Yes.
Why did she ask you to do that?
Because she felt it was her only way to be with me.
Okay.
We got into a conversation. Nick was telling me how he would protect me from anyone.
This is also a lie because Nicholas Godejohn says no. She straight up asked him to kill her mom, specifically asking Victor to kill her mother for her.
And I asked him, I said, anyone? And he said yes. And I said, even my mother? And he said yes. And then me and Nick were talking one night, and he said that he would do anything to protect me.
This is so rehearsed, it's ridiculous.
And I asked him anything, and he said yeah. From anybody, he said yeah. Even my mom, he said yes.
Nope, you straight up asked Victor to kill your mom because it was the only way that you two would be able to be together.
And that's when this kind of plan started to develop of a murder plot.
So, she first asked me, how badly do you want to be with me?
That does not align with what Gypsy just said.
I told her I'd do anything to be with her, you know that.
Yeah, she spent from October of 2012 to June of 2015 manipulating him to make sure he would say yes to this. Because she also attempted murder twice before, in the spring of 2011 and on June 14th of 2011. A whole year and a year and a half before she ever met Nicholas Godejohn in October of 2012.
And she said, as long as my mom's alive, I can't be with you. She made that very clear.
She made that very clear. She made that very clear. That as long as my mother is alive, I cannot be with you. She asks Victor to kill her mother.
After first communicating, did we meet official on Facebook that we're in a relationship?
To find out that these two people that they had cared so much for were not who they thought.
Here's your glimpse of the truth.
Until questions are answered, people will be left wondering who the real mother and daughter really were.
I thought I knew these people so well.
Even Blanchard's true age is a mystery.
If this was truly a case of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, Dee Dee Blanchard would have never signed this medical release form, authorizing the state of Missouri to get copies of all of Gypsy's medical records from Louisiana, literally giving them all the different aliases, all the different alternate spellings, and the alternate dates of birth that they have used for Gypsy, including 93, 92, 95, even though she was born on July 27th of 1991, which they also put at the bottom. Blanchard with an E, Blanchard with no E. And then she signs and dates it at the bottom, giving them full authorization and consent to disclose all of Gypsy's prior medical records. This girl really was sick, and her mother was clearly allowing them to get the records. If she had Munchausen syndrome by proxy, she would not do this.
If she could walk, she knew she could walk. How deep did the lie go?
I was on a bunch of medications, and I know that's no excuse.
There is no excuse for murder at all.
But on Xanax, I felt like I had no emotion, and I wasn't thinking right.
She also didn't want people to know or ever see the hundreds of videos that she sent Nicholas Godejohn, whether they be related to the homicide or not related to the homicide. Gypsy Rose Blanchard spent nearly 3 years manipulating Nick, giving him a stolen knife and a manual.
We somehow just knew we were right for each other.
Okay.
So we, like, what was it, like 4 days, I would have to say. 4 days later, we started a relationship together.
I wanted more independence, and that just wasn't okay with her.
No, what wasn't okay with her was her very sick daughter with a very rare and severe genetic chromosome disorder running off with strange men from the internet. People who have already been in trouble with the law, people that are seeking out her Vicodin, people that are just trying to use you for intimate reasons. Now that you're a mother, Gypsy, you just said you don't want your daughter to have social media or any devices until she's 16. You know, most elementary, middle, and high schools give children Chromebooks today. And if your child is homeschooled or does virtual, they're going to be on a device, an internet-capable device. You know all the bad things you did online. That's why you don't want Aurora to be around the internet or any kind of devices.
We were bonded by this lie together, like we couldn't escape each other. My mother won't let me.
She's a beast.
Yeah.
I had her mom killed so she could finally live the life that she wanted.
Tragic event surrounded by mystery and public deception.
I wanted more independence.
Gypsy felt like this was the only way out.
Hi, honey. I'm doing it. He's eating a brownie.
And the D is fire.
It's actually very comical to me how Gypsy not only misuses but misappropriates mainstream media and social media. I did a wonderful video that I really like to share quite often, and it's called The Gypsy Rose Blanchard Agenda. I go back to the very moment of her crime, June 9th/June 10th of 2015, and the day that she and Nicholas Godejohn were arrested, which was June 15th of 2015. I show you every documentary, every interview, every podcast, every time she was on TMZ or People Magazine or was featured on their website, every time she does Dr. Phil or The View, or she goes to San Francisco State University, or all of these other things, even all the promotion for her books, all the promotion for her show, all of the marketing, advertising, and promoting she uses her almost 9.5 million followers on TikTok for. This has been curated from the very moment she was arrested, and she and her public defender started coming up with plausible defense strategies. Hello, welcome to my channel, Straight Out of Context. I am Barbara Ann. If you do not know who this is Gypsy Rose Blanchard. She was arrested on June 15th of 2015 for the premeditated first-degree murder of her mother. A lot of people don't know that in the spring of 2011, she tried to unalive her mom. She tried a second time, again on June 14th of 2011, and then she spent almost 3 years manipulating her internet boyfriend, Nicholas Godejohn, into helping her finally get the job done. You know what they say, third time's a charm. Both Gypsy and Nick were arrested at Nick's mother and stepfather's house on June 15th of 2015. Another fact a lot of people don't know is not even 7 months after she was arrested, they already began filming for the first of many docuseries, documentaries, shows, or books that Gypsy Rose would take part in, and that began with HBO's Mommy, Dead and Dearest. And this was set to premiere on March 11th of 2017. However, it did air later at May 15, 2017. November 22nd of 2017, Dr. Phil did an exclusive interview with Gypsy Rose Blanchard while she was serving her time. I'm sure everybody remembers this interview because this is where Gypsy is quoted saying that her mother taught her to be a liar, a great liar, one without any conscience. November 6th of 2018, Lightbox filmed this documentary called Gypsy's Revenge. March 20th of 2019, Hulu did a dramatization series based on Gypsy Rose Blanchard's life and crime called The Act, of which Patricia Arquette and Joey King played, both the mother and daughter duo. On January 21st of 2021, Killer Cases did this episode called Killing Mama about Gypsy Rose Blanchard. December 28th of 2023, Gypsy Rose Blanchard was granted parole and she was released. A week later, on January 5th, 2024, Lifetime, who had filmed this for a year and a half prior to the air date, aired this. The Prison Confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. On January 5th of 2024, Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her husband, Ryan Anderson, were not only allowed to leave the state, they were allowed to go to a whole different state and city, and this is where she appeared on the ABC show called The View. January 5th of 2024, Gypsy goes and changes her clothes, and she also does an interview for Entertainment Tonight, but this time she has her husband, Ryan Anderson, on camera with her. This very clearly is a strategic PR tour. January 8th of 2024, Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her husband Ryan go on the Vile Files. January 9th of 2024, Ben Bella Books releases this. Released. Conversations on the Eve of Freedom by Gypsy Rose Blanchard. However, the two ghostwriters that really wrote this book are Melissa Moore and her literary agent. In March of 2024, Gypsy Rose Blanchard publicly announces that she left her husband, Ryan Anderson, and she was filing for divorce. May 3rd of 2024, Gypsy Rose Blanchard is on The View again. However, she's interviewed from a red carpet appearance because she was not in studio. January 26th of 2024, ABC's show 2020 did an episode about Gypsy Rose Blanchard entitled The Next Act. However, they updated this and they reran it 2 more times, again in May and in August of 2024. June 3rd of 2024, Gypsy Rose Blanchard gets her reality show post-release with Lifetime called Gypsy Rose Life After Lockup. June 5th of 2024, Chris Jericho actually releases an interview that he had done with Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her husband, Ryan Anderson. Now, if you pay close attention, you can see that this must have been filmed months before she and Ryan actually separated. Because that same day, on June 5th, 2024, Ryan Anderson goes on Extra TV where he does this interview and he's talking about exactly that. October 16th of 2024, Gypsy Rose Blanchard reaches out to the Vile Files where she goes on and does another interview with them, but this time she doesn't have her husband, Ryan Anderson. She has her ex-fiance, Ken Urker, with her, where she's already very pregnant with his child. They go on to discuss everything that has transpired since Gypsy has been released and future plans. December 10th, 2024, this is going to be released by Ben Bella Books, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, My Time to Stand, a memoir. Now, Melissa Moore and her literary agent are actually the two ghost writers on this, as well as her other book. The only difference here is that there's going to be several versions of this, including you can get a hardback copy or you can get an audiobook copy where Gypsy Rose Blanchard herself narrates her book. Another fact a lot of people don't know is for almost 7 months now, Lifetime cameras and producers have already been filming and documenting Gypsy Rose's life. And this next season, if it airs, is probably going to be about Gypsy Rose Blanchard, love after lockup, or finding love after lockup, as well as the birth of her and Ken Urker's daughter. This, I got to give credit to Dysfunctional Cutie because she's the one that uses AI to generate what her and Ken's baby might look like without all of the controversy. Now, there have also been thousands of episodes that have been done about Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her crime. And those have been covered by A&E, Crime Weekly, Law and Crime Network, as well as many content creators around the globe. Now, if you're wondering where you can stream any of those, now this was sent to me, and this has not been confirmed. However, it has a check mark. Supposedly, she has an OnlyFans account, as well as a Facebook, an Instagram, a TikTok, a YouTube. On November 2nd, 2024, Gypsy Rose Blanchard posted this on Facebook. Many people may have seen or read this already. Their voices clash with the agenda. The mask is on. Smile. And this is where I say that she needs to say no. But she has done nothing but monetize and capitalize her crime since day one. This was very strategic work of Melissa Moore, and if you do not know who she is the daughter of the infamous serial killer dubbed the Happy Face Killer. Gypsy's defense attorney / now manager, Mike Stansfield. Her father, Rod Blanchard, and her stepmother, Christy Blanchard. As you can see from the very beginning, they are proud to be standing in front of any of these shows and documentaries and appearing and doing just that, taking pictures, promoting these shows, docuseries, books, reality shows, all of it. But the biggest way for Gypsy Rose Blanchard to promote, market, advertise her own shows, docuseries, reality show, and books is by going to social media, which is precisely what landed her in trouble to begin with. In the commission of her crime, she used Facebook, ChristianDatingForFree.com, and the internet. A couple months after her release, Gypsy Rose Blanchard became friends with this person who goes by the name Says Bree, or Bree with the Facts. She's been a staunch defender of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, but she has also given her really horrible advice, like accidentally not ending her live and telling her on a phone call how to lie to her parole officer, essentially coaching her. Proving to the entire world and social media alike that Gypsy Rose Blanchard is not changed. She's just getting better at hiding and lying. So while it's really hard to feel sorry for her because of her own actions, choices, words, and behaviors, she was almost 24 years old when she committed her crime, and she is a full-grown woman now who makes these active choices to go along and sign these contracts and do these deals, do these books, do these documentaries, these docuseries, and she has been for the entirety of her prison stay and now her release. Gypsy is due in January, and she has been a heavy smoker. Continuing on from this, Gypsy Rose Blanchard in October of 2024 went to San Francisco State University, where she gave a speech about prison reform. Laughable at best, considering that she committed first-degree premeditated murder and got the best of prison reform, a sweetheart plea deal, and a second chance at freedom, all at the cost of her mother, Nicholas Godejohn, and his own family. On December 10th of 2024, her book came out, which was entitled My Time to Stand. Before the book came out, she went on a lot of different interviews promoting the book. However, on Taylor Swift's birthday, December 13th, Friday the 13th of 2024, Gypsy Rose Blanchard did a public meet and greet book signing. She was almost 9 months pregnant, and it was said that over 600 people attended. The tickets were $40, and it included a copy of the book. You also got to meet Gypsy, get an autograph, and have a photograph taken with her. 600 people times $40 a ticket is $24,000. But days before that, leading up to, she also did an interview with Kale Lowry on her podcast. On December 6th of 2024, days before the book was released, she gave this interview as well. But of course, a lot of people knew at this time that there was talks about season 2 of Lifetime, Life After Lockup. We had already seen multiple times with TMZ that Lifetime had cameras present, especially at court when she got divorced from Ryan. On the 1-year anniversary of her release from prison on December 28th of 2024, Gypsy Rose Blanchard gives premature birth to her and Ken Urker's daughter, Aurora. In March of 2025, Gypsy goes on Access Hollywood, on Entertainment Tonight, and E! News and Extra, doing interviews promoting this, the season 2 of Gypsy Rose Life After Lockup with Lifetime. And despite more true crime podcasts, episodes, and small interviews that Gypsy has done, she recently, as of March and June of 2025, launched her and Ken Urker's family vlogging channel with their 5-month-old baby, Aurora. Because of her behavior on TikTok, Gypsy Rose Blanchard was recently demonetized. She also admitted in a 30-minute long anti-bullying video that she goes on there and reports multiple videos, and it says on her report log, no violation, no violation, no violation, inadvertently telling us that she mass reports, which in and of itself is a violation. She also used TikTok Live to make a physical threat to punch back 10 times harder, doxed her ex-husband's private medical information, harming the special needs children that he is a teacher for, and on over 5 different occasions have leaked private correspondence between herself and Ryan or her father and Ryan, even if she had her friend Bree do it for her. The culpability and the consequence is still all on Gypsy. But recently, she did a video completely unbuckled in the back of a moving Jeep, talking about going to see the Easter Bunny, committing child endangerment, having her 5-month-old baby not buckled properly in her car seat, the car seat not anchored appropriately, and the carry bar in an upward carry position while driving. Gypsy Rose also did 60 Minutes Australia, which she reportedly got paid over $85,000 to do. However, it was filmed while she was still pregnant and didn't air months later until the spring of 2025. And of course, we knew she had to make today all about herself. I can't wait to see in a couple days, when it's the 4-year death anniversary of Nick's mom, what Gypsy has to say then. Oh wait, that's right. She does not give a fuck about Nicholas Godejohn or his mother. She even had the balls to lie to Nick's mother when she Facebook messaged her asking her if Nick was okay because she hadn't heard from him. She goes on to say, oh no, he's doing great. He got here and we're fine and we're going to be heading back and you have such an amazing son, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So amazing that he killed your mother and freed you from this fake abuse that never happened.
So since being kicked out of the Creator Fund, Gypsy Rose has taken to YouTube. She's now posting daily vlogs. I popped over there and watched today's, so you don't have to. You can thank me later. I'm going to put a little clip in of it, but really, we're not missing anything. It is a 14-minute video of the girl putting together like a bouncy saucer thing for her child. No talking, no nothing, just watching her put together this toy. What I don't think Gypsy gets, though, about the YouTubes is that you have to interact with your audience to grow and to be able to financially benefit from this platform. She has all the comments turned off. Gypsy, why do you have the comments turned off? You know we want to comment. This grifter, I tell you, she's been grifting all her life. She learned from the best, and she will continue to do so. But just watch the clip, and you tell me if you think it's interesting and invigorating content. Have a great day, and remember, stay safe.
Much better day than it was yesterday. Yesterday was raining all day.
Justice for Dee Dee, justice for Nick, justice for Stephanie. And if you liked my video, please subscribe, like, turn on notifications, and share.